Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. Who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And who is he? Bruce Rivers, he's the criminal lawyer. And what he do? And it's gonna react to all the self-snitching.
Hi, this is Bruce Rivers. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of Criminal Lawyer Reacts. We are reacting to Gwyneth Paltrow and her lawsuit where she's being sued for running into Mr. Sanderson, an optometrist, with one eye. I don't think he's got one eye, but he's got one eye that's messed up. But before we get into some key moments in the trial, this episode is brought to you by eSign.com. eSign.com. eSign.com is a very effective way to do remote business. So let's say you have one eye and you need an appointment with the eye doctor, but because of a ski injury, you've got a headache and other personalities that are inhabiting your body. Well, what you do is you have whoever you're trying to sign the contract with e-sign you a document. You download the app, you get 3 free signatures a month, and then you have one of your personalities that's available, have them e-sign it, and then ship it right back to them, and then you're good. So I use it all the time for retainer agreements when a client can't make it back to the office. So eSign.com, a very effective way to do remote business. So now we're going to watch a little bit of the cross-examination here from the plaintiff's lawyer. I don't even know what this gal's name is. We don't need to know because I'm never going to hire her, and I don't think you should either. Well, I shouldn't probably say that, but anyway, there's kind of an odd exchange here by Gwyneth Paltrow. Let's just kind of watch.
Question when I read it. Then I'm going to have you answer. Now, Ms. Paltrow, and this is, I'm sorry, I apologize. I'm starting on line 4.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Paltrow, isn't it true? I'm just a country lawyer here. Okay.
Who would say that? I'm just a caveman lawyer. Your human ways frighten and confuse me. Nobody talks like that. I'm just a country lawyer. If you just something, if you're a fucking lawyer, you're not.
Isn't it true that your kids wanted to watch you ski? Or, pardon me, that the kids wanted you to watch them ski. Isn't that true? And your counsel, he objected. How did you answer that question?
Let's read the objection, Your Honor, if we're going to do this.
So, here's the thing. While a civil case is pending, there's a thing called discovery. And one of the things that they do in discovery is take depositions. And that's the testimony of any witness that might be testifying at trial. Or sometimes the witness can't testify at trial, so they have a video that they might play, or they read their testimony into the record. If you have been watching this trial, you'll have seen the plaintiff's lawyer actually sitting in the witness chair reading deposition transcript. Well, that's one of the ways you get that evidence in, is just by reading the transcript into the record.
The objection was vague as to time.
Do you want me to rule on the objection? I mean,
if we're going to read it, then we should read the objection.
Okay, read it.
Yes, the objection said vague as to time.
Yes.
And then how did...
So he just, either he's doing it to interrupt her flow, which I don't know that he was or not, but it's kind of unless you're going to have the judge rule on that objection prior to court, there's no sense in even making that objection, to be honest with you.
Respond.
I said I can still watch my children ski and be skied directly into my back.
See the language, the body language? I take my glasses off and I'm pissed off. That seemed like a genuine reaction.
Continued.
Which is what happened.
Exactly. So you were watching your children when you alleged that you were skied directly into your back by someone.
My daughter was down the hill. My son was to my left. So I was skiing. My eyes were not fixated only on my son.
So what she's basically trying to establish is that, your eyes weren't on where you were going. You were fixated on your children. But you can have situational awareness, which is, I think, what Gwyneth Paltrow is saying here.
When Mr. Sanderson skied directly into my back.
Okay. And so
Directly
when Miss
into my
Oakes,
back.
who's going to testify next week, said that your son Moses was saying, "Mommy, Mommy, watch me." That's who you were watching, right?
That's vague as to time, Your Honor.
Right. Yes.
Just overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Sorry, what was the question?
When Moses is saying, "Mommy, Mommy, watch me," that's who you were looking at when you were when you were skied directly into your back.
I do not recall Moses saying, "Mommy, mommy, watch me" on the ski slope.
Okay. Well, Apple was down further, right?
Yes.
She didn't see it.
No.
Okay. And Moses, he was the one, at least according to Carrie Oakes, was calling your attention.
Okay.
Okay.
So you can tell that Gwyneth Paltrow is really annoyed by this time.
9-year-old, did he want more attention to have somebody watch them rather than 11?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Most
Little kids, generally speaking, when they're really little, like toddlers love watch me. What does an 11-year-old want to do? They want to get away from parents, typically.
was skiing above you, though, right? He hadn't gotten down as far as you.
He was on my left.
And up.
I was on the right. He was, oops, sorry. He was on the,
I can't believe how much time this case is taking. And it's partly because they've got a lot of experts. They've got medical experts. They've got a kinesiology or somebody about the mechanics of what happened. They have the ski instructors.
side of the slope. Yes, I believe kind of a little bit uphill.
Okay. And that's where your attention was when you were hit, allegedly, in the back.
I don't know where my attention was the moment I was struck in the back. I'm sorry.
Okay, well, that's what you said, which is what happened.
He struck me in the back. Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, I know, but you said, I can still watch my children ski.
Yeah.
So this cross-examination, I think we've talked about this before, is disjointed, and she's giving her a lot of room to explain things.
Meaning
Directly into my back by someone, which is what happened.
And then when she doesn't get the answer she's looking for, she argues with her.
exactly.
What's the pending question? It sounds like they're saying the exact same thing.
What's the question?
The question is, you were watching your children ski when you were struck in the back.
So that's asked and answered, Your Honor.
Overruled?
I was skiing and looking downhill as you do, and I was skied directly into by Mr. Sanderson.
And your 9-year-old son, you will admit, was on your left and up bit.
To my recollection.
Okay. All right. And Carrie Oakes is the one who says that he was the one calling your attention.
You'll have to speak to Miss Oakes.
We will. All right. So, I want to go through the accident a bit.
So now this is the part that I really want to talk about, because when it talks about how this happens, and when she talks about it, it's kind of odd because, well, just watch.
Because we did this over video, we didn't really get to act it out a whole heck of a lot. But I want to just kind of talk with you first and see if this is your recollection of how it happened.
Your Honor, I think this is improper. She should just ask her what happened. And if she testified contrary to that earlier, then she cross-examines her with the deposition.
And what's the objection?
Improper use of deposition testimony.
It's a party. Under Rule 32, it can be used for any purpose. You may
Okay.
proceed.
Thank you.
So basically what they're talking about there is, in a civil case, when you have depositions and you're dealing with a party and you want to impeach them, it's different than somebody who's just a regular witness. So you have to kind of, it's got to be at either prior consistent or inconsistent statement. You got to show them but for a party, though, it's different. You can use it for any purpose, like the judge said.
You were going along relatively slowly. Was he grinding and thrusting or something, or just the noises? What made you think it was a sexual assault?
So that was a quick thought that went through my head when I was trying to reconcile what was happening. I was skiing and two skis came between my skis, forcing my legs apart, and then there was a body pressing against me, and there was a very strange grunting noise. So
And then he's famous.
my brain was trying to make sense of what was happening. I thought, is this a practical joke? Is someone like doing something perverted? This is really, really strange. My mind was going very, very quickly, and I was trying to ascertain what was happening.
Okay.
Is somebody doing something perverted? It's just kind of, that's a strange response.
I think you said, I didn't know if it was an accident, but he was groaning and grunting in a very disturbing way.
Yes, there was a sort of groan coming out of his mouth.
Okay. Then you said, I froze.
Yes,
We kept skiing.
right.
We went to the right.
Yes,
We came crashing down together.
that's right.
Okay. You said this man was behind me on the mountain. My knee and our skis were still sort of tangled up. Is that yes?
Yes, sorry.
Our bodies were almost spooning, and I moved away quick.
Spooning. I love spooning. This account is a little odd.
Yes,
And my knees splayed open, and I was completely in shock.
yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to stop there.
Okay.
And if the court,
Okay, so now we get her version of the events. Let's take a look at the animation, because there was an animation that they did, and these sometimes can be really helpful to the trier of fact. That's what a jury is, trier of fact.
Reverse it, Dr. Scher, to
So now we're gonna just kind of get, that was her version. Let's see what the animation is that they put
Just-
together.
you could press play again, and it will
So
get
there's
to
the
it.
spooning.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, there you
Yeah.
go. Okay, great. So, take us through, if you would, Dr. Scher, what this animation shows from your point of view as a biomechanics expert.
The person in the green is one of her children, and then you've got person in the blue is Sanderson, and the person in the black here is Paltrow, as you can see from the arrows.
The first thing that you should be aware of is that this is Miss Paltrow's version of the events. So,
Dr. Scher, sorry to interrupt you.
Oh.
Just maybe pull your mic.
sorry
Yeah,
about
there you
that. The first thing to be aware of is this is Miss Paltrow's version of the events. So that's what we're showing here. And as we move forward, I'll talk about the physics, kind of like what I drew earlier with the center of mass and the rotation. And that's the idea. That's what went into this. But again, this is not exactly what happened. This is just one of the possible ways it could have happened.
But when they do the video, they should really take your client's version and then incorporate other versions, if you can, to get kind of a general consensus as to what happened. And keep in mind, these video reproductions are really expensive.
There we go. She felt a contact directly in the back, along her back. It sounded like her buttocks as well. The person.
This is really a strange ski accident. Usually you're slamming somebody from the side. Just to go into between somebody's legs like this is a little odd.
Was grunting, pressing against her, but they were on their skis for a period of time. If in this situation he's also moving to skier's right, which is in the left in this image, that will create, remember I had the force that was offset from the center of mass. That's going to create a rightward motion for her, but also create some initial rotation. Now, in this portion, there's a number of possibilities. She could be adding weight to her right ski because of the contact from Mr. Sanderson. When you ski, if you're in, let's just take a snowplow or what my kids call pizza position. If you weight the right ski, you turn left. So
I don't know what her level of skiing ability is, but this is not on a difficult hill. This is on like a very beginner hill.
clockwise rotation, and here her ski can catch, or she could pitch to the side, or they could both pitch to the side.
So now keep in mind, he's behind her in this version. And, just like any other thing, you're moving forward, you have a duty to avoid whatever's in front of you.
Also consistent with Miss Paltrow saying that her right knee was splayed open at the end, and she felt right knee discomfort. That all could happen there. So as she's rotating and he's rotating counterclockwise, they fall to the side. Now,
with his skis in hers and basically going outward, so her legs are apart, she's losing control and he's lost control.
At this point here in the animation, I guess maybe the next frame, if I can do it. Mr. Sanderson lands on his right side, maybe the right back. It's hard to say. If he lands on his right side.
And if you're somebody that's high profile, like Gwyneth Paltrow, and all of a sudden somebody comes in behind you, you really don't know what's going on.
Kind of like Dr. Bam.
But keep in mind, it's when you're wearing a helmet and goggles, who can really see who you are, right? I mean, I'm sure he didn't know he hit a celebrity.
Said, he needs to land on the elbow. That can happen. That can create lateral rib fractures.
Actually, that happened to me not that long ago. I slipped on the ice and separated my shoulder and broke my ribs. Gwyneth Paltrow's children also testified, but I believe they testified by deposition, if I'm not mistaken. And so Moses, her son, recalled in his deposition, and they read these aloud. Here, you probably saw that in the trial. This is part of Moses' testimony. I recognized the equipment she was wearing because I know what she wears when she skis. And then I realized it was my mom. So I was standing around and I realized it was my mother. He explained about the incident. And when I skied over, I heard Mom yelling at the guy. She was saying something like along the lines of, "What the F word? You just ran into me." Now, when you're in court, you can actually use the word. That's not a problem because they want the best evidence. Apple, so you got Moses and Apple. So Apple, for her part, said in her deposition that she didn't see it, but she heard a commotion. And she explained that she heard her mom was involved in a crash when they met for lunch. She was a bit shocked when she went down to the restaurant, and then she says, "This a-hole ran into me and ran right into my back." That's important because you've got a very visceral reaction from Gwyneth Paltrow right away. This asshole ran, and you realize, what kind of language. And I guess, remember the earlier testimony about, being in your best behavior in front of your kids? Well, I guess she doesn't watch her mouth in front of her kids because she says, this asshole ran right into me, ran into my back, and the other kid hears her use the F word. I had never seen my mom shaken up like that, and she was clearly visibly upset, and she had some sort of pain. So you've got a situation where you've got two children who hear the commotion, hear her mom's reaction, and so that gives you some real flavor for what happened. Then you also have the ski instructor who testified that it didn't happen the way Mr. Sanderson said it did, and he's kind of more of an independent witness. She's not being paid by anybody. He works at the ski resort, and then you've got an expert saying, putting together a video as to how this happened. And it creates a very compelling picture because you put it all together. The defense lawyer for Gwyneth Paltrow has moved for a motion to dismiss because the plaintiff's case is over. And the judge denied that motion. You always move for a judgment of acquittal or judgment notwithstanding, or judgment as a matter of law in a civil case. Rarely are they granted. I had one granted last summer. I had a very bad home invasion. They had one hair of my clients that was linking her to the crime. But other than that, they had no evidence. And, the prosecutor, it was really weird. The prosecutor wasn't dealing, and he wanted my client to do 105 months. But at the end of the case, at the end of the state's case, one party's case, I moved for a judgment of acquittal, and the judge granted it, saying there just wasn't enough evidence there. In this case, the standard is a lot lower. And in my case, it's beyond a reasonable doubt, right? In the criminal side. On the civil side, it's a preponderance of the evidence. So it just has to be slightly more true than not true. So the judge has denied the defendant's motion for judgment as a matter of law. In other words, to dismiss the plaintiff's case. The plaintiff has gone through a lot of different variations of what they were trying to seek. They tried negligent infliction of emotional distress, punitive damages, and it went from $3 million down to $300,000. So you've got a situation where the plaintiff's case seems shaky, but you don't need that much to get to a jury. And the judge generally denies these motions because they want to make sure that that a jury hears this and that it's the jury making the decision, not the judge. So this has just been our reaction to some of the latest goings on in the Gwyneth Paltrow trial. We'll react when they do their closing arguments, and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you sign up for Patreon, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, subscribe, and we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts.
Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. Bruce Rivers just broke down your case. He know all the charges that you about to face. You ain't coming home till 2058. That self-snitching gon' get you put away. 23-hour lockdown, police is at my god.